Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you my predictions for the Chinese Grand Prix. But before I get into my predictions, I'm going to have a little look at the last race and see how my predictions for that race held up. Basically, to put it short, I got everything wrong. So here are the actual standings compared to my predicted standings. And yeah, as you can see, I literally got everything wrong. And for my qualifying, I got it all wrong as well. I also predicted that Oscar Piastri would get driver of the day. And yeah. Honestly, the safest bet is just to predict Max Verstappen to get it every time. However, I did actually get something right. I predicted that there would be no DNFs from crashing in the race, and that ended up being true. You might be thinking, what about Oscar Piastri? Didn't he crash into a wall? But that counts as a DNS, not a DNF, because he didn't actually crash in the race. So yeah, it counts. Well done me, I guess. Literally the only thing I predicted right in the whole weekend. But yeah, I pretty much got the entire order of the teams wrong. I thought the McLaren would be up there with Mercedes, but instead it's actually Ferrari up there and McLaren down with Red Bull. Which I'm not mad about, by the way. I loved watching Norris cry about his car. You can tell he just knows that he's never going to win a championship ever again. However, I will say this, that if Red Bull can make some good upgrades to their car this season, then I think that Verstappen still actually has a shot at winning this championship, because I put him first in my championship predictions. So I think as long as Red Bull kind of lock in a little bit, Verstappen still does have a chance. But at this rate, over half a second off the pace of the Mercedes and the Ferrari, it's not going to happen. But could you imagine how cool it would be to watch Leclerc, Russell and Verstappen all going for a world title? That would literally be the peak of Formula One that you could possibly make it right now, because those are the three best drivers in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's as well. Please Red Bull, lock in. I don't even care if Verstappen isn't the world champion. I mean, I predicted him to be, but I would like to see Russell or Leclerc get it just as much as him. So I don't even mind. I just want some good racing, which we have got, by the way. That race was actually a bit of a banger in the first few laps. And Australia was supposed to be one of the worst tracks for it, and now we've got a rumoured better track for these regulations. I just hope that we can witness this peak once again. Other things that pleasantly surprised me is Audi. I've been a big fan of Sauber for a long time. I mean, it was probably the first team that I actually rooted for in F1, so it really makes me happy to see them this way. Aside from the reliability issues, their midfield performance was actually one of the best. I think that they cooked with that engine, which I really was not expecting at all. And the last team I want to talk about, I didn't exactly get it wrong, but I will say this about Aston Martin, is that obviously they're the worst position out of any team reliability-wise. I mean, they had the drivers retiring their car multiple times in the race and then coming back to life. I think Stroll ended up finishing the race 15 laps down, which I didn't even know you could do, but yeah, there you go. I know that they do have to take breaks throughout the Grand Prix to actually finish a race, but I can actually see a good car underneath all of their downsides, and obviously the shortages of parts as well. But Alonso went from like P17 or 18, sorry I don't really remember, to P10 in the first lap of the race. I mean, and then he did fall off a cliff, but I watched the onboard of that, and yeah, it is mostly down to Alonso being a really good driver still, but that car actually looked fast for just a few minutes, and then it started to fall off. And in all the interviews as well, I can just see this like glimmer of hope from Alonso. Like, he should be crying like a baby, right? I would have probably ended my life by now, and it's only the first round of the season. But Alonso still seems to be pretty content with the situation, you know. He's chilled. He thinks it's under control, you know. And I think that he's like this because he knows that there is a good car under there. I just think that the engine is the worst problem. Their chassis, their aero, it's all looking good. I mean, the car looks cool, you know. I think that once they get rid of these issues, especially with the engine vibration, which I think is their main one, then trust me, Aston Martin could be top of the midfield by the end of this season. I know it sounds bizarre, but I can honestly see it happening. They're probably going to be like millions in debt though. Oh yeah, and another thing, this Arvid Lindblad guy had the audacity to absolutely cook my driver's standings predictions. Lindblad scored 4 points in his debut race when I predicted him to get 0 in the whole season. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't predicting Racing Bulls to be this good, which is one of the main reasons, because we saw Liam Lawson in Q3 as well. The last thing I'll say about the race is that unfortunately I couldn't predict the Colapinto and Go penalty. Oh yeah, and by the way, let's just admire this save from Colapinto at the start of the race. Honestly, if I saw this at the start of the race, he would have got my driver of the day vote. But, you know, instead we only saw it once the race has ended. The wonders of F1 broadcasting, am I right? But anyway, it's time for the actual reason why you're here. Here are my China predictions. And we've got a sprint race as well, which we'll be up bright and early for again. 2 weeks in a row, F1 destroys my sleep schedule. And as it's just a sprint, I'll make sure to keep this part a bit shorter, but still just as snappy. And I'll only be listing the top 8 in both quali and the race, because those are the points positions, and I list the top 10 for the same reason. So here we go. Here are my sprint quali predictions. Number 8, I've got Oscar Piastri. Number 7, I've got Isaac Hadjar. 6th, Lando Norris. 5th, Lewis Hamilton. 4th, Max Verstappen. 3rd, Kimi Antonelli. 2nd, Charles Leclerc. And 1st, you know who, it's George Russell. Yeah, I think that Lewis Hamilton is going to have a worse than expected quali, but Max Verstappen just slides in there out of pure class, you know. For the race, I have got Esteban Ocon at 8th place. Isaac Hadjar 7th. Oscar Piastri, 6th. Kimi Antonelli in 5th. In 4th, I've got Max Verstappen. In 3rd, I have Lewis Hamilton. 2nd, George Russell. And Charles Leclerc gets the sprint win. I think that Ferrari will be pretty dominant in this track. I just hope that their kebab wing doesn't actually fail them in this race, because I'm pretty sure that they will be bringing it to this sprint and Grand Prix. But I think that there's going to be a pretty good battle between Mercedes and Ferrari. No pit stops means no room for Ferrari to mess up their strategy. So this could be a pretty good race. For this sprint, my wildcard prediction is that Norris will have an engine problem. That's why he's not in the top 8. Charles Leclerc will get the fastest lap. And Charles Leclerc will also get the driver of the day. Alright, that is the sprint done. Let's get on to the actual race. Here are my top 10 for the quali. 10th, I've got Nico Hülkenberg. 9th, I've got Lando Norris. He just got back from, having a stinker sprint race, so I don't think he's going to have much confidence. 8th, I've actually got Bortoletto. I think that the Audi is going to be really good around this track. 7th, I've got Lewis Hamilton. Doesn't have a very good qualifying session at all. I can see him messing up a bit. 6th, I've got Isaac Hadjar. 5th, Oscar Piastri. 4th, I've got Charles Leclerc. At 3rd, I have Max Verstappen. 2nd, George Russell, and Kimi Antonelli will put it on pole for this quali for the first time this season. Surely he's got to do it right. He was doing it last year, so he can do it this year. But yeah, I think that Ferrari are not going to be off the pace too much, but they're just going to not have very good qualifying sessions each, and I think that Verstappen's going to put an absolute blinder of the lap, which is probably going to be provisional pole until Mercedes ruin the fun. With that being said, now we're going to get on to the actual race weekend. And after an exciting battle between Ferrari and Mercedes, will it happen again? No. I think the Ferraris are too far back. They're going to have a good launch, but Mercedes are ultimately going to get away. And I could even see Ferrari messing up their strategy once again. And so with this being said, my race standing predictions are Liam Lawson in 10th. 9th, I've got Nico Hülkenberg. 8th, I've got Lando Norris. 7th, I've got Oscar Piastri. 6th, I've got Isaac Hadjar. 5th, I've got Max Verstappen. 4th, I have Lewis Hamilton. And the top 3 is Charles Leclerc in 3rd, Kimi Antonelli in 2nd, and George Russell takes the win from Kimi Antonelli after qualifying behind him because he's just more experienced. I mean, come on. It's probably going to be a few races until Kimi Antonelli actually outperforms George Russell. I could see it happening in the 5th race this season, maybe 6th. It's probably going to take him a bit longer than we might have expected, first of all. But even though I said that Ferrari will mess up their strategy and whatever, we've got to remember that both Mercedes and Ferrari were 20 seconds ahead of the others. So yeah, I do think Ferrari is ultimately going to make up 3rd and 4th, unless Verstappen can actually put a bit of a masterclass in, you know, which I'm not sure about yet. Obviously, we haven't seen Verstappen race this season, but that Red Bull doesn't look great. I mean, they literally had an engine failure with Isaac Hadjar as well, so the reliability isn't really there fully. I think if anything, we could see a good fight between the Mercedes this race, but unfortunately not between Ferrari and Mercedes, even though Ferrari could actually have the upper hand on this track. But my wild card for this race is that both Williams will DNF, the fastest lap will go to Lewis Hamilton, and the driver of the day will be Max Verstappen. Why is it Max Verstappen? I don't know. I'm probably going to get it right because I said Max Verstappen. What doesn't really make much sense is that Max Verstappen was 3rd in quali and 5th in the race, and he's going to get driver of the day. So maybe I should have picked someone else, but even though it might not make much sense, Max Verstappen probably will still get driver of the day. I think if I predict Max Verstappen to get driver of the day every single race weekend, I'll probably end up with more right answers than if I actually chose who I thought would be the driver of the day. But yeah, those were my predictions for the Chinese Grand Prix. I'm excited for this one. We have a sprint race. F1's looking nice right now. The racing's looking good. I'm so glad. Even though all the battery stuff sucks, at least the racing's better than the ground effect era from what we're seeing so far. The racing wasn't really great. I mean, think back to last year. There's not that many moments that like blew you out of your chair. But that race last week was genuinely like, I was like geeked out at 4 o'clock in the morning just from that start alone. Hopefully these next 2 races are going to be just as good as Australia, but we'll see. Thanks for watching my predictions. Let me know yours if you want to in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye bye.